Okay, so it's the day before Valentine's Day, and I thought it would be really important to post something to me is very personal about Valentine's Day. And I'm going to make a general statement, but I'm going to use some personal experiences to help somebody that might have been through a bad relationship or maybe considering dating again. Maybe you're coming out of a bad marriage. And to me, there's no question that if you've been in a bad marriage, you know what a bad marriage is. You know what it's like to live through it. You know what it's like to go through the constant struggles and the interpersonal struggles. And I want to address this I want to be able to point to very important things. And I don't want to hide behind anything by saying these things, because I can take personal experiences and really put this to application. And it is to benefit other people, including the people around me, especially the people around me, especially the ones that I'm in a relationship with now. Just from my experience personally. One of the biggest heartbreaks of a separation and divorce is the rejection. I didn't really understand rejection until I went through this bad breakup. And it was so painful, so painful, that it really caused my life to spin out of control for a while. And I used social media as a way to fill that void. I was in so much pain that honestly, I have never felt pain like that before. Rejection and betrayal and hurt it's so deep, and it really does mean to heal. It's really that important to heal. I mean, it became my lifeline, and I went into divorce care, and I continue to do that, and I will make that, I'll always try to maintain that as a vehicle to heal. I waited to date. I was kind of really taken back when I wasn't even really out of the marriage, not even really through initially the divorce, when I had my ex and his girlfriend suggest that I should date again. I was so guarded because of who it was coming from, number one, but I was not ready. I was okay with being by myself. I was not okay with where I was getting that advice. So number two, to this point, is make sure you get the right kind of advice, or not. For those people that like to give out advice, tell them to be careful with what kind of advice you give people, because it could do real damage and it could be very harmful. Do people date prematurely if they're just out of a marriage, or they've been just recently separated? I think it depends on the person. I think generally speaking, if your marriage was bad for long periods of time, you're probably maybe more ready to date than you would if you were to date still living with your ex-spouse, okay? Now, by definition, most people should wait till they're divorced. But more likely, most people who are looking to marry or start a relationship may not be completely through the divorce. This is a gray area. I get it, okay? There's no harm in waiting, okay? If you have somebody that you're really compatible with and you have everything go in the right direction, you can wait. Relationships can be preserved longer if you wait. I'm one of the bigger fans of this. I think it's very good that somebody should wait. If you have any concerns, it's still better to wait. It's still better to just put that decision off until you're ready, until both of you are ready, okay? Because love's not going to stop happening because you decided to wait. That means you're actually trying to preserve your relationship, not end it. A lot of relationships end very prematurely because a lot of people go the next step, and it can be premature. And here are some of the concerns that you could be making decision that could actually do more harm than good. One, are you fully ready to commit? Are you fully ready to move the next step? Yes or no? And if you say yes, it's because you've already taken the steps in moving out. You're addressing your concerns. You're aware of what you need to do. Two, the best way to illustrate this point is that you have a agreement with your ex about custody issues and concerns. Three, you've already addressed your ex about how you want to conduct your life from here. Four, you've made appropriate steps in starting over. That means, again, living on your own. Cohabitating is one of those things with an ex is a very complicated thing. I did not do it. When I left, I strictly left. It was a clean break. There wasn't any middle ground. I didn't have children in my previous marriage, so I could walk away completely, strings attached, gone. That I had to personally cut the strings, and so did he. And he did it, and so did I. And I agreed that clean break is so insignificant, but a lot of people don't have that option. They have kids they'll tie them down in some responsibilities. This is where it gets this is a struggle for those who are seeking to finalize their divorce. There might be some things that are keeping them hanging on, and not because they choose to, but because that's the conditions of the relationship separation that might be preventing the divorce. Here's my personal experience about that. It's still better to clear that up because you have more to lose in the long run. You have more to lose personally. You have more to lose financially overall before you enter into anything, any decision going into dating. You don't want to get tied into something and then have to be put in other situations. And I'm going to give you an example of situations that can happen if you really have not addressed this and be fully ready to protect yourself financially, protect yourself morally, spiritually, emotionally, physiologically. Your health can take a real turn for the worse. One of the things that really hurt me in my health was the health of my life. And I didn't learn that until I was so way in over my head. I was making premature decisions I was not ready to make. I didn't want to make those decisions. And one of the things about my separation divorce is that I felt as if the rug was completely pulled from me. I mean, I was really on my face. And I had to make some really big decisions right away. And I just did not have the financial backing to do it. When you only have a short amount of time, you have to figure out how you're going to budget your money again, how you're going to adapt to these changes. I mean, there's a lot of changes happening all at once. And one of the very difficult things of going through a separation and divorce is being able to adapt to new changes that financially just make it a lot harder. I mean, by today's standards, people live in a 2-parent home and they adjust to those changes because they make decisions to make budget. Decisions that will allow them to live on a reasonable budget. And when you take the primary income away from doing a budget, I personally can tell you cannot live the way you used to live on the budget you used to live on. You have to make those changes, and those changes can be radical. For me, it was a whole large income. Part of my budget was that I budgeted in so much money to make sure that initial primary bills were paid, and then you could have, and I even barely had extra to do the extra things. And one of the things that caused me to leave my marriage is that responsible budgets means you leave enough room to make decisions on extra things, because if you don't have enough for the extras, then it's going to be really hard to do a budget. You can still live on a tight budget, but it makes it very difficult when the restrictions are almost impossible. There's a lot of things that I could not get around. And I could not get around this when I went through my separation. I didn't have any warning of that. I didn't have enough time to prepare for it. So one of the bigger problems I had is being more prepared. So maybe I went from that to the other extreme where I'm more prepared to look at this and, not go into a life without having a proper handle on a budget. One of the things that I've had to do since my separation divorce is look for a career. And I didn't have, I was working part-time, so I didn't have full-time. I hadn't been working for full-time for a long time, not because I didn't want to, but my situation in my previous marriage didn't allow me to. So I learned how to adapt to this. I learned how to adapt, whether it was healthy or not. I learned to adapt to it. So I made these changes, but they're changes that I was forced to make. And that goes into other areas, of course. And the reason I'm addressing these things, because I think a lot of people have walked through this or have lived through this, and they've struggled with this, the spiritual component. Because I think the initial thing is about divorce care is there is a spiritual component. There's a comforting message there. And every day you're going to grow as a person. Every day you're going to face different challenges. Maybe they're not all regarding what you lived through, but it may take the rest of your life to heal from those choices that you made personally that led you into the marriage and then led to the bad marriage and the complicated things that came from that. I mean, there's a consequence, no matter good or bad of our choices, there might be a consequence, even if you went into the marriage with the right idea. And I think a lot of people go into marriages for a lot of different reasons, Some people get married because ideally they think that they're doing the right thing, and they don't realize the whole holistic responsibility that you're taking on. And then you just simply want to enjoy the time you have with somebody. You want to live a full life. And I think there are a lot of people that holistically want whole love relationships, which require commitment. Love is a commitment. I mean, when you want to commit to your job, you want to make sure that people are going to go to work, because you rely on those people to go to work. You rely on them to be there so that you can get your paycheck. I mean, reliability is part of commitment. Commitment is reliability. So you want a reliable person that is going to be there. You succeeded at one thing, that you cannot just have a revolving door. It's just not healthy. It's not right for the person that you want in your future. You want future people that you're going to have a long-lasting relationship with, whether it be in business or in everyday matters concerning addressing home. But when it comes to interpersonal relationships, you do you making a commitment. Whether it's spoken clearly or not, you're making a commitment. I just think it's good to clarify that, yes, in fact, I have a commitment to make life better for those around me. I might not be personally committed to a relationship to the extent that I can say I'm fully committed, but I fully am committed. Before I even go into a relationship, I'm already fully committed that I'm going to make a sincere effort to make the most of every situation in every relationship. I'm sincerely committed to doing the right thing, too. And doing the right thing is not easy, by the way, because when you do the right thing, it comes with challenges. But I cannot see how anyone could go wrong by doing the right thing. It's better to wait. If you know you're doing the right thing by waiting, no one loses. It's a win-win. I don't jump into anything head first after learning what I made. Unfortunately, I made so many bad choices because I had to jump in head first that I learned until I have peace about something and I'm fully aware of what I need to do, then I won't make that decision. It's a lot easier to walk through any decision and walk away from it too, knowing I was fully prepared for whatever would happen on all sides of the issue. And I look at every situation, especially when it pertains to love. Am I fully committed to doing the right thing here in this relationship? Am I fully ready to wait? I've approached it this way because I said, to myself personally, if I ever want to heal and grow from everything I've learned from whatever I've lived through in the past and put it behind me, I got to be fully aware to put it behind me. And there was a time I kind of was on that. I was really angered by what my ex did. I was really angered about the hurt that it caused me. But even that, I knew in perspective, I'm happy to get it behind me. I was much happier to put it behind me because I realized even while I was hurt by the things that occurred in the separation and divorce, I can live with these decisions. I can go to bed making decisions that I know in the long run are because of the circumstances, whether the circumstances were bad for me or my ex, I can fully ready to confront the conflicts that are ahead of me, if that be the case. But that meant changing jobs, doing job training, changing career paths, changing my household, my budget. All these things had to happen anyway. But am I fully ready to give more of myself? And I really believe because we allow ourselves that time to heal and recreate our sanctuary, recreate a better experience at home, I'm a lot more prepared for the yes and no's than I was maybe 6 months ago. 6 months ago, I was just so on such shaky ground with so many things. So I was willing to wait. I'm willing to wait, and I'm willing to continue to wait if it means that holistically, in the long run, everyone's going to benefit. So I don't see anything wrong with waiting when it comes to dating. You should give yourself a window of time to recover and recuperate and have the support of others, because I truly believe because of the love and support of those around us, church, while we make poor decisions prematurely about dating, you learn really quickly through heartache that you may or may not be ready to go the next step with that person, but you can wait. You can still care about each other. You can still be there to support each other till the time comes. The reason I address it is that I think it's important to clarify this because Valentine's Day is one of those hard holidays for a lot of people. I call it a Hallmark holiday because I don't have to celebrate Valentine's Day to love somebody. I don't have to be completely overboard and romantic and can completely give myself over to something that may be doing more harm than good. And I do this checklist because I realize there are some things that have to kind of meet my requirements. My checklist is, yes, you have to be completely removed from the situation. I do not count it against somebody that they might be in the middle of their separation and divorce. A lot of people meet people during their separation and do end up having a fully happy, committed, loving relationship, and I support that. I support people that will find a better way of life for themselves even after maybe they were the cause of their divorce. Who knows what the reasons are, but you're trying to do something to change that today. So obviously people have these concerns. These are things I had to address personally, and I confronted it personally, and I wanted to share it because I know that without that support, without that encouragement, it is hard to move forward. It is hard. It's too easy to look at what your ex did to you and how you were hurting this. It's more important to be able to live with the consequences, be able to accept it and move forward. Because before you know it, when you accept it, you realize, wow, I can start over. I can date again. I can live with this. I can learn to live with these choices, not the choices I wanted, but I can accept it now and go forward. And most people who are going to spend their Valentine's Day can be okay with being by themselves. If you can be okay with being by yourself, you're ready to date again. Okay? If you're looking to start over in that area. Because I know a lot of people, they have to look at it realistically. Are they okay with being by themselves? And they have to really look at this, and by looking at it and being realistic to say, I might not be ready to date now, but I might be ready to date in the future. See, I don't see anything wrong with waiting, especially if you have somebody that you're interested in. Take the time to get to know each other. There's nothing wrong with waiting, even if it means you have to wait a year and you just have a light conversations. But if you're really in over your head, it's going to be a lot harder to wait that through. But even if you have to take a step back and you say, listen, I really love you and I really care about you, but I can wait. I can wait and hold out as long as I need to, because you know what? In the long run, you're trying to preserve a relationship for the future. So everything you do today does matter. The steps you take to rebuilding your life matters. Living and taking in all the good experiences that come with that, because I can't see how anyone could go wrong in that department.